Hello there, thank you for joining me. Today you're going to be learning about animals of the Sonoran Desert habitat. Our I can statements, or what we will learn, are I can identify characteristics of the desert habitat, I can demonstrate the understanding of the word camouflage, and I can write and draw about characteristics of the desert habitat. Our words to know are camouflage, which means to blend in with surroundings, carnivore, which is an animal that eats other animals, herbivores, which are animals that eat only plants, omnivores are animals that eat both plants and other animals, and scavengers are animals that eat meat and waste left by other animals. This is a picture of what we will be learning about today. It is the desert, and it's different from our habitat that we learned about yesterday. It's actually the very opposite of it. The Arctic is very cold, whereas deserts are usually very hot. The Arctic is wet and muddy in the summer, whereas the desert is very dry and sandy. So here is where we are going to be learning about today. It's this yellow area over here. It is the southwest of the United States and northwest of Mexico. So listen carefully to find out more about the Sonoran Desert and how animals have adapted to living there. Here's Rattenborough in the desert. After nearly freezing and almost becoming a polar bear snack in the Arctic, I thought we should go someplace where my whiskers and tail could thaw and warm up, so I've brought you to the desert. There are many deserts all over the world. You know you're in a desert when it doesn't rain very much. Many deserts can also be very hot because it's so hot and dry, only certain types of plants and animals can live there. Welcome to the Sonoran Desert in the southwestern part of the United States and the northwestern part of Mexico. The temperature is quite hot during the day, and it doesn't rain very much. The heat and lack of rain make it hard for some plants and animals to live in the desert. They must all be specially adapted to live in hot weather and survive with very little rain. How do they do it? Some plants can save and store water inside their plant parts when it does rain. Other plants grow only in shady areas near mountains or rocks. Because there are very few plants that can be used as shelter, the animals that have adapted live in the desert, seek shelter underground, and make their homes under the sand. Living underground helps them stay cool when it gets hot, and it keeps them hidden from other animals that may want to eat them for lunch. Ouch! What did I walk into? Aha! Here is one plant that lives in the Sonoran Desert. The saguaro cactus is the world's largest cactus. Cacti don't have leaves. They have prickly spines instead, which is exactly why it hurts so much to touch this one. The word cacti is the plural for cactus. One cactus, but many cacti. The incredible saguaro lives up for 200 years, and in that time can grow as high as a house and can weigh as much as several cars. The most amazing thing about the saguaro is that it is a habitat in itself. That's right. Not only does it manage to live and thrive in the desert habitat, but just by being there, it provides food, water, and shelter to many different animals. Let me get my climbing gear out and some gloves to protect me from these sharp spines, and I'll meet you at the top. You already know that it hardly ever rains in the desert, but when it does, the saguaro cactus saves and stores huge quantities of water in its roots and stems, so down here. The cactus saves the extra water and uses it to survive during those times when it is very dry and does not rain. In the spring, white flowers grow on the saguaro. At night, when the desert cools down, the flowers open to show their sweet nectar. Butterflies, bats, and birds feed on the flowers before the flower closes the next day when it becomes hot again. In the summer, red fruit begins to grow on the saguaro. Many animals eat the fruit of the cactus. Here's an interesting bird called a Gila woodpecker. The Gila pecks holes into soft cactus with its beak to make a nest for its eggs. The Gila woodpecker is an omnivore. An omnivore is an animal that eats plants as well as other animals. Gilas feed on cactus, fruit, and berries, as well as insects that have invaded the saguaro. Thankfully, I brought a sandwich, so I won't have to join these Gilas for a buggy lunch. It really is way too hot for a regular rat like me to live here. I'm glad I brought my fan with me. Interestingly enough, birds like this Gila woodpecker can live in the desert habitat because their feathers help protect them from the hot desert sun by trapping cool air next to their skin. Still, most birds only go out to feed in the early morning or evening when it's cooler outside. From noon to late afternoon, many of these birds seek shelter in the holes that they have dug in a cactus or in other shady spots. Here's an elf owl, another bird that makes its home in the saguaro cactus. The elf owl, the world's smallest owl, is only 5 inches long. That's just a little bit bigger than one of your hands. It moves into nests that have been abandoned by Gila woodpeckers. When something is abandoned, that means it has been left behind. The elf owl, like most owls, is nocturnal, which means that it rests during the day and wakes at night to hunt for food. The elf owl is also a carnivore. A carnivore is an animal that eats only other animals, no plants. It uses its large eyes to hunt in the dark night for bugs that live in the desert. Most owls eat mice and, I'm sad to say, rats. But I think I'm safe from the elf owl because I'm bigger than it is. Oh, look! Here comes a desert cottontail rabbit, another animal that lives in the Sonoran Desert. The desert cottontail looks a little like the Arctic hare we saw in the tundra, but it has larger ears and longer back legs. Desert cottontail rabbits are herbivores, and herbivores are animals that eat only plants, no animals. The desert cottontail eats grass and even cacti. Smaller animals like the desert cottontail always need to watch out for larger animals in the desert that might eat them. Many animals and plants are part of a cycle called a food chain. You will learn more about the food chain in the next read aloud. Coyotes, for instance, like to eat rabbits. In fact, there's a coyote coming this way, so let's stay up here and watch it. Coyotes are found all over the United States, including the Sonoran Desert. As you can see, the coyote has a light tan-colored coat to help reflect the sun's rays and to camouflage it. Camouflage means to make it blend in with its surroundings. The color of the coyote's fur blends in with the color of the desert sand, so it is difficult for other animals to see the coyote in the desert background. Coyotes are carnivores like the elf owls. Coyotes have very good senses of smell, hearing, and vision, and they can run very fast, which means they are excellent hunters. They are also scavengers, and scavengers are animals that eat meat and waste left by other animals. Coyotes live in dens, which they make by burrowing into the ground. I think this one has smelled something because he's just run off. Now, I'm getting down from this cactus before another coyote comes along to make me its dinner. Seems like rats are on the menu everywhere I go. Okay, we're going to pause there. So here's some questions to think about. What is the weather and temperature of the Sonoran Desert? How are the Arctic and Sonoran Desert different? The weather and temperature of the Sonoran Desert are very dry and hot because there is very little rainfall. And that leads us to our next question. The Arctic is actually very cold and wet, especially wet during the summer when the ice has melted because the ground becomes muddy. But even in the summertime in the Sonoran Desert, the ground stays very dry because it has very little rain. Here's our word work for today. Our very special word is camouflage. And camouflage means to blend in with its surroundings, just like this tortoise is doing with the ground around it. What is something that can hide in green grass? Can't wait to see what you come up with. But it's work time! Draw a picture of a desert habitat and label it desert. And you spell desert as D-E-S-E-R-T. Now remember, a desert is very hot and sunny. There's not much rain, so it is very dry, and it has lots of sand. The plants there are cacti. And remember, some of the cacti can have flowers growing on them. The animals that you see are the Gila woodpeckers, elf owls, desert cottontails, coyotes. Remember that some of our animals are nocturnal, which means that they only come out at night. And others are camouflage. So the color of their fur or colors of their body help them to blend in with their surroundings. I can't wait to see what you all come up with. Oh, extra dojo if you write a sentence or two telling me what you've learned. Thank you for joining me.